Hello everyone, my name is Spencer Gadori and welcome to the channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you've seen any of my videos before. This is going to be, I guess, my first official video back on YouTube, and like I said in my intro video, what I really want to do is make a series of videos talking about music, whether that's talking about specific bands, specific albums. I really want to rank bands' discographies, and maybe play some tunes for you guys as well. I'm actually getting an album produced right now, and I've written a lot of songs, and I love playing covers in a band, and so it's definitely the thing that I'm most passionate about in life. So I kind of, like I said in my first video, I don't really expect a lot of people to view these videos, but and keep in mind this setup is pretty mid right now. It's not doing very well. But I'm gonna, like I said on my last video, try to find a better setup. It's in the works. I'm gonna try to get maybe a little camera stand or something like that. And going forward, a lot of my videos are gonna be edited a lot better, but I feel like for this video's sake, for the couple parts that this is gonna take, I'm just gonna kind of do it bare bones style, not a lot of editing. Just gonna kind of go through my collection here, what I got. So yeah, this is part 1 of 2 of my CD collection. I have stopped collecting recently. I was on a tear at one point, a couple of years ago, just going out and buying every album that I could get my hands on from bands that I enjoyed. My music taste has expanded quite a bit in the last couple of years. I've taken music in college, and I'm in a band, and I'm around a lot of music. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, I guess I had a bit of a broad taste in music, but not really. It was a lot of these records are going to be rock records from similar bands, but I really would like to just show you guys what I got. I've never really pulled out my collection before and showed anyone, so without further ado, let's get into the video. We'll start off in the numbers, because I have one record here in the numbers category, and that record would be Three Doors Down, Away from the Sun. I really, really enjoy this album. I actually picked this one up because it was free a couple years ago. It's at a Sunrise Records. I got a deal with a couple albums, but this album, I didn't know what to expect when I got it, when I put it in the CD player in my car, and I really, really fell in love with this album. It's fantastic, front to back. Every song on this is really, really good, well written. It really rocks pretty hard too, right? I have heard the song, of course, Here Without You before. It's a big song. It was a really big hit for them, and it's more mellow, but as soon as I put this in, you got songs like When I'm Gone, Away from the Sun is amazing. I think my favorite on the record is The Road I'm On, an incredible song. The way that these guys just build, it's just straight forward rock. It's loud and it's raw, but the lyrics and the melodies and how quiet it can also be at times, it's a very emotional record, actually. A lot of the themes on this album deal with mental illness and trying to figure yourself out, right? All these songs are fantastic, and just one after another. I've never seen them live. I would really like to, because I know they put on a great show, and I have nothing but good to say about this album. Check it out if you haven't heard of it. There's also a fantastic hidden track on this album called This Time, which is actually one of my favorites. Incredible, but yeah, they kind of remind me of, I don't want to say Foo Fighters, more like Soundgarden, I guess. They kind of give Soundgarden vibes off. Really good record. So next here we got a classic that I feel like every collector or music snob has in their collection probably, and that is AC/DC's Back in Black. You gotta have it, right? You gotta have it. It's an amazing album. Everything about it, the melodies, that Angus Young on guitar for me is just the driving force. I feel like for a lot of people he is probably the driving force of this band. But this album is classic, right? Every song on this, front to back, Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, What Do You Do for Money, Giving the Dog a Bone, and then you get into the second half of the album, you get Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Have a Drink on Me. Every song, all 10 songs on this album are phenomenal, and it just rocks, AC/DC figured out a theme along the way of, we're going to just rock out, we're going to talk about a lot of satanic stuff, and that works for them, right? That it's just the formula, and this album is amazing. And you know what makes this album so incredible too is that Bon Scott passed away, and they were looking for a new singer, right? And they just happened to find this guy who, sounds pretty much exactly like him, and it's incredible. It's incredible what this album, how big it is, and how, how these songs, like every single one they're unique, but just the riffs and the melodies, and it's quite an incredible album. I mean, it's classic, right? I don't have anything but good to say about it, honestly. It's just great, It's great. I'd love to see them live one day. Speaking of AC/DC Live, this is the other album I have by them. It's a live album. It's AC/DC Live at River Plate. The movie they made about this, I mean, look how many songs they play, right? They play a whole set here. The actual concert video is incredible. The crowd is wild. Just the energy in that stadium, River Plate Stadium, is nuts, man. Like, I would love to see AC/DC. I find that overseas, the crowds are wild for shows. Even I live in Canada, but Canada and America kind of excluded in this. I mean, it's not always the case, but you go to Mexico City and the crowds are wild, right? Like, just I'd love to see a show in a packed stadium with a bananas crowd like this. I mean, the album itself is a really good listen. I'd rather watch the video, the concert video, but it's great. They're amazing live, and Angus Young. I mean, he's the selling point for me. Look at him right here up on the front doing the devil horns, right? He's one of the guitar gods, right? And he proves that live as well. So great listen. All right, now we're getting into the B's. Like I said, it's not a lot of variety in terms of like my music taste. I've discovered a lot of new bands. When I was collecting, it's more bands that I have with a lot of records from them. So let's get into the B's, and we're gonna start here with Billy Talent. I love Billy Talent. I've seen them 4 times live. They put on a hell of a show. They're just loud, and what I like about them so much is they have kind of changed their sound up, experimented more, but they've always stayed true to who they are, right? They've never become sellouts or anything like that. They're Billy Talent, right? Like, they've always had that sound. Ian Desau on the guitar, just the sound of that guitar, it really, you could tell it's Billy Talent right away. Everything about the rhythm section is phenomenal. Ben's lead vocals on this are incredible. Just a really, really solid, amazing band, and they're, I guess you could call them punk or hard rock, but they have this mainstream effect too. Like, it's I don't want to say it's radio friendly, but everything's very catchy, right? Anyways, this first album, it's probably, I'll talk about it in the rankings for when I do the band rankings, but it's not my favorite Billy Talent album, but oh my God, it's incredible, right? An amazing record, just the way they open it with "This Is How It Goes," like insane, it's like, this is it, we are Billy Talent, just incredible. Obviously this is the album that has their big hit Try Honesty on it, an incredible song. I'll never get tired of listening to that song. River Below, of course, it was another big one. I also love songs kind of on the later half of the album, like Cut the Curtains, wicked tune, Prisoners of Today. The whole thing is very hard rock. It's very punchy. It's a lot more rough sounding, I find, than their other albums. It's a really, really good album. There are some songs on here that don't do it quite as much for me as, it's not a perfect front to back album, I don't think, but the songs that really, really hit, really do hit, right? And any of these songs, when I've seen them live, are amazing. Doesn't matter which, I haven't seen the full record of songs live, but it's a great album. It's definitely like a hype album, for the most part. It's a hype album. You put it on, before, going out with the guys to have a few beers and watch a football game or something. This is perfect. Great album. There is still better yet to come from them, like this one, Billy Talent 2. This is pretty much perfect. They've just perfected their craft, what they brought in that first record, and they, everything, the songwriting, the riffs, the production, oh my God, everything about it is phenomenal. Everyone's in their element here. Every single song. A lot of Billy Talent fans would say this is the best album, and I would not argue with you on that. If that's your opinion, like I said in my video, I'll talk about what my favorites are and whatnot. this is a perfect album, though. You know, right, like, just front to back, man. You know, like, Devil in a Midnight Mass, Red Flag, This Suffering, Worker Bees, Pins and Needles, Fallen Leaves, I could go on, right? Every song. I think my favorite song off the record is Surrender. An incredible song. It might be my favorite Billy Talent song. But this album, you know, whenever I've seen them live, whenever they put on a show, they play a hell of a lot from this one because it is a fan favorite, you know. It's classic, you know, early 2000s rock. And it's probably the best that it gets, you know. There's a few bands in there, like, you know, Billy Talent and My Chemical Romance and that early 30 Seconds to Mars. It kind of just it's just a product of its time, right? And it's incredible. I love this album. 10 out of 10, honestly. It's amazing. Then we have Billy Talent 3, which, you know, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a bit of a step down from 2. A lot of people don't love this record, even though it has some of their best songs on it. You know, it starts off really strong, too, with Devil on My Shoulder, Rusted from the Rain, Saint Veronica. Those 3 songs alone to open the record are incredible. But no, the whole thing is great. It's a darker kind of album, I feel like. There's a lot of themes of, you know, there's suicide in here. There's mental illness. You know, I mean, like, a lot of their records have that. But I feel like this one is so punctual compared to the last 2. I mean, obviously on the first record you had Nothing to Lose, and on the second album there was a lot of, you know, Pins and Needles, stuff like that, very personal. It is a very personal band, but I feel like most songs on this record are super deep. And, you know, they don't quit with the hard rock. It's a hard rocking album. I think my favorite is Rusted from the Rain. I think it's just an incredible song. But whenever they play Devil on My Shoulder live, it's one of the best. It's just incredible. It's one of the best live songs I've ever seen. You know, every song on here is great. You know, I think maybe aside from Sudden Movements, I'd give the album a perfect 10. I think it's great. Just a great. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, it's Billy Talent. They, like I said, they stick with this formula, and they do kind of change it up a little bit, which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. But another great album, right? Another fantastic entry from the band. Now we have Dead Silence. I sound like a broken record here. This album is perfect. Like I said about 2, I think every single song is amazing. And maybe it's because it was the first one that I heard from the band that I have this special connection. You know, I saw them on this tour, actually. I had the opportunity to go to the show. I didn't know who they were. Ended up going and being like, what the hell? Like, I saw them here in Ottawa, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are insane. Like, this is incredible, you know? So I fell in love with the band. I picked up this album, and it's probably the one I've listened to the most. You know, every single song on this is incredible. If people thought 3 was a little bit of a dip down, this just, in my opinion, just brought it right back to the Billy Talent 2 level, like through the roof. Incredible. You know, Viking Death March, Surprise, Surprise, Running Across the Tracks. I could name off every single album, or every single song on this album, and just, like, going through it, looking at the back of it right now, it's incredible. The track list is incredible. The production is nuts. Like, this is how you produce an album, in my opinion. For this specific band, for this specific sound, it's perfect. You know, it's not too poppy, punky, you know, that kind of sound I'm talking about. It's hard, and it's rocking, and the rhythm section is deep and wide, and the guitars are punctual, and the vocals are incredible. Like, it's just an incredible album. And one of the coolest album covers, I think, of all time. Really, really cool stuff. All right, now we move into Afraid of Heights. And yes, I have their whole discography. There's only 2 left. That's Billy Talent, Afraid of Heights from 2016? Yeah. I remember when this came out, me and my cousin, we became big fans of Dead Silence. And I don't think I've ever, I have. It's one of the albums I've been the most excited for in my life. You know, I was just Billy Talent mania for me. I was 15, I think, when this came out. Or I might have been 16. I'm getting the years mixed up a little bit. But anyways, I was in love with this band. I heard the singles, you know. I was so ready for it. It came out day one. I got it. And I was not disappointed. I think this album is amazing. And I'm going to say that about, you know, I've said that about all their albums so far. But you know, this Dead Silence and 2 have that edge on 1 and 3, I think, where it's just every track that you could tell they're bringing it forward, they're giving it their all. This is a great album, you know. Afraid of Heights, Big Red Gun, Ghost Ship of Cannibal Rats, The Crutch, you know, they rock so hard and they don't lose that magic. It's just amazing rock with a lot of emotion, and the guitar work and the vocal work, and I keep geeking out about this rhythm section with the drums and the bass, but it's all so tightly, like, it's perfect, right? They have this consistency of being so, like, tight and flawless together as a group. And this album is amazing. I mean, you know, my favorite songs probably are Big Red Gun, Ghost Ship of Cannibal Rats. Rabbit Down the Hole is incredible too. February Winds. Every song on this record is amazing. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. It's fantastic. It's flawless. And it gets better with every listen. Honestly, it does. It holds up extremely, extremely well. So finally, we have their latest record, Crisis of Faith. Okay, this one's a bit weird for me. This, I don't think, has exactly the same quality level as 2, Dead Silence and Afraid of Heights. I think it's great, but I think there are some things about it where, yeah, you could tell they're experimenting more. They're getting a little bit more experimental. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I usually love when bands do that. But Billy Talent, I don't know. Okay, so, you know, for example, Forgiveness, parts 1 and 2, I'm not a huge fan of these songs. I like the riff is killer on part 1, and then it goes into that part 2 thing, and it's kind of strange. So there's things like that. I wasn't a huge fan of One Less Problem or For You either. But the good songs are incredible on this album. Okay, guys, Reckless Paradise, I Beg to Differ. Oh my God, that's a 10. Like, that is one of the best songs they've ever written. Reactor, I love. Might be my favorite on the record. I'm not sure. Up there with Beg to Differ, but End of Me, featuring Rivers Cuomo from Weezer, is amazing. I love it. It's so catchy. A lot of people didn't love it as much. It doesn't really sound like old Billy Talent. You could tell maybe it's in the production, maybe there's something going on here. It does sound a little more produced, a little more radio friendly, if you will. But they still are staying true to themselves, like I said, right? It's Billy Talent. They have that killer guitar riff, the rhythm section, the vocals. Like, it's incredible. It's a really, really great album. And the tour for this was amazing. I saw them twice on this tour. And they kill it, you know? Like, every song, even the ones I'm not a huge fan of, like Forgiveness, parts 1 and 2, live is different, right? When they play it live, it's incredible. But great album. Not perfect, in my opinion, but it's good. It's really good. All right, we're moving into C now. And we have a controversial band a lot of people don't like. Actually, I think the next 2 are bands that you either love them or you hate them kind of thing. And I love them, both of them. So first up here we have Coldplay with Parachutes. I love this album. It's incredible. It's different than all their other albums. I think it has this different sound to it. It's more dark and it's moody and it's, you know, just the guitars, the delicate nature of the guitars, and the album kind of it sounds very delicate and very, you know, does that make sense? It's not like Billy Talent where all the instruments are turned up to 11. The instruments are kind of dialed down to a 5 or a 6, but it's like the mic is right on them, so you're hearing this. It's kind of a softer album. You have songs like Yellow, of course, which everyone knows, which is not like that, I don't think. But a lot of these songs, like Don't Panic is a perfect example, and Spies, where, you know, Sparks to Trouble, it's very delicate and moody and soft and quiet at times, and I love it. This is an incredible album. And I realize I'm talking a lot about the albums. I'm going to kind of move on from doing that because I'm going to be talking about a lot of them in detail in further videos. Then we have A Rush of Blood to the Head, which, incredible album, perfect album. They have some of their best songs on here, right? They have, you know, I mean, some of the best known songs, right? This is Coldplay alternative rock at their best, you know. I think, you know, In My Place, God Put a Smile Upon Your Face. The Scientist and Clocks alone make this album just incredible, but the whole thing is flawless, right? I think it's one of the best alternative rock albums of all time, honestly. Then we have X and Y, which was controversial for the band when it came out. I think it's fantastic. I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as the first two, but there are some songs on here where I really like what they were doing with the production. You can tell they were trying to sway a little bit from their usual kind of sound, like especially with the way they open the album with Square One with the synths. It's really cool. Obviously this is the album that has Fix You on it, which was I think it's probably still their biggest hit, maybe Viva La Vida. But those two songs, right? Fix You is huge. It's an impeccable song. It's incredible. The emotion, everything about it is fantastic. Like I said, I'll talk about them later. I think the first half is very strong, and the second half kind of doesn't, like, it doesn't have that magic the first two did, but really good album. I'm missing a few in their discography here. Next up I have Milo Xyloto, which is an album that I have very mixed feelings about, and I'll talk about it more in my rankings video. I think it's good. I think it's a really good album. It's definitely different though. They, after Viva, which I'm still, that's an album that I'm on the hunt for. I could get it probably anywhere, but I have a rule where I can't buy too many albums on Amazon at once anymore. So if I see it and I'm out, I'll probably pick it up. But after Viva, they really departed from their sound, and there's a lot of great songs on here. Obviously, Paradise is amazing. Charlie Brown is probably my favorite song on the record. Just incredible. Like that's an amazing song. Us Against the World's great. Every Teardrop is a Waterfall, right? And they do some really, really weird stuff on here I don't like Princess of China with Rihanna. A lot of the production is pretty mid. It's kind of that style of production I don't like. The radio friendly late 2000s kind of call it alternative rock, but it's more pop. It is a pop record for the most part. And I have mixed feelings about it. Great songs on it, not great in my opinion overall. But live, this tour, from what I've seen, looks incredible. Like, Coldplay is one of those bands that I'd give anything to see live. I need to see them live. It's one of those bands, right? So I love them. Next up, another album I feel the same way about, probably even more so, is A Head Full of Dreams. This is an okay album, I think. It has some great songs on it. I think the highlight off of this album, by far, is the song Everglow. It reminds me so much of old Coldplay, which is my favorite Coldplay. The rest of the album is okay. I love Birds, actually. I think Birds is a really, really good song. I do not like that drum beat and the production on it very much. A Head Full of Dreams is a good song. But aside from that, there's not many redeeming qualities on this. I picked this up when it came out. Like Hymn for the Weekend, I've never liked. I'm sorry, guys. I know it is very mainstream. It's very poppy, and I've never liked it. I could just never get into it. Same with, Say What You, Adventure of a Lifetime. Killer guitar riff, but it's just, if the song was more built off that guitar riff, like it is, but I want to hear more of that. I don't want to hear more of the, you know what I mean, that production, that really super poppy, synthesized kind of production. A lot of it is just kind of Coldplay doing whatever they want, which I respect, but I wish they wanted to go back to their roots a little bit in these records. And you know what? They did, in an album that a lot of people really didn't like, that I really, really, really loved. And that is the album Everyday Life. I think that I was so shocked. I heard the lead single Orphans, and I thought, okay, it's a good song, but it's kind of more, it's Coldplay, right? And then I heard the song Arabesque, is that how you pronounce it? Oh my God. I love this album. And I'm not trying to come across as snobby here. There's a lot of great pop. There's a lot of pop music I like. It's just those couple, especially this Coldplay record, I wasn't a big fan of it. I don't think there's anything special about it, I guess. This is different. I think this album is incredible. I'm going to try not to ramble too much about these records, but the way they open it with Sunrise and Church is amazing. Like, the balls to open this album that these guys have with a slow orchestra piece I was like, oh my God, this is something else, right? Overall, I think the album's great. You know, I think the standout songs for me are Church, which I really love. Arabesque is probably my favorite song on the record. I love Champion of the World. Echo is incredible. Orphans is good. Guns is great. And Everyday Life, the title track, is amazing. I think I really wish they toured this record, which they didn't, but I love it. I think it's great. And a lot of people did not like it at all. But my opinion, I guess, is controversial. I think it's fantastic. So that's going to do it for Coldplay. Now we have another band that is, I think, my second favorite artist of all time. I love them. I just saw them this past year on every album. You know, I'm going to rank them however good or bad I feel about it, or however, you know, where it lands. It means a lot to me. So we have Counting Crows and August and Everything After, which, like I said about AC/DC's Back in Black, I feel like is a classic that is a kind of must-have in your collection. I think it's incredible. I fell in love with this band. I fell in love with this album. This album means so much to me. And I'll talk about it more in my rankings. I am rambling a little bit here. But every song is just flawless. It's a flawless masterpiece, this whole thing, you know. Round Here and Mr. Jones, Anna Begins, Time and Time Again, Rain King, Sullivan Street, Murder of One. It doesn't, like, those are just to name a few, right? It means so much to me, this record, this band, you know. This is a must-have. This is a classic, right? It's a 90s classic. It's incredible. Adam Duritz, I think, is the greatest, he's my favorite songwriter of all time. So I'll talk a lot more about it in my video, but this is my second favorite record ever made, I think. And then we have an equally as good album in Recovering the Satellites. Sorry about the reflections. It's annoying. Anyways, this album is amazing. You know, it's the same as a 10 out of 10, just like this, just like August. Every song is impeccable. I've been listening to this on repeat the whole year. You know, this is usually the CD I've had in my car, because they really changed their sound from the first album, and I feel like it didn't go down well with a lot of people, and other people loved it. You know, their lead single, Along December, is incredible. Yeah, amazing song, amazing, brings a lot of emotions out of me. But they took some leaps on this album that I loved, because they translate so well to this new rock sound that they just decided, you know, let's step it up from the alternative sound that we got in August, and let's crank the amps a little bit, you know. And it's amazing, you know. Catapult, just the way they open it with Catapult, Angels of the Silences, I'm Not Sleeping, oh my God, incredible, you know. Children in Bloom, Have You Seen Me Lately? Like, these are songs that you would never imagine from these guys on the first album, and they do it perfectly. Every song is so well written, so well played, so well produced. The whole thing, front to back, all 14 songs are incredible. If you haven't heard this record, I really, really recommend it. It's incredible. Then we have This Desert Life by Counting Crows, their third album. And this is a fantastic album as well. I don't think it is quite the same strengths as the first two, but I think their first three albums are amazing, you know. They kind of go back to their more August sound, but it's a very musical album from them compared to what August sounded like. August was more stripped down. Recovering was more rock and a lot more going on. This is more alternative, but a lot more instrumentation, a lot of experimentation, I get, but not really. It's Counting Crows, right? You always have a lot of instruments, but, you know, just all the songs here are great. I love them all. Hanging Around, Miss Potter's Lullaby is definitely my favorite off the album. You know, High Life's incredible. Colorblind, I Wish I Was a Girl. Just the instrumentation is fantastic. The lyrics, the vocals, as always, amazing. Then we have Hard Candy by Counting Crows, which I feel like was pretty controversial when it came out. Actually, I wasn't a fan. That came out in 2004, so I was 3, but I know it was pretty controversial. They changed up their sound quite a bit in some of these songs. You know, right out of the gate with Hard Candy and American Girls, it sounds very, very different than what the other one sounded like. You know, I love it. I love this album. There's some songs on it that maybe I feel like they could have stripped it down a little bit, but, you know, I don't know. For the most part, like Miami, incredible. It has this kind of newer production on it, but it melds the old. Like a lot of these songs, what they do really well is they have, it's more pretty, it's more radio friendly, it's more produced, but they meld the old Counting Crows in there so beautifully. The lyrics, the melodies, the instrumentation is still August or This Desert Life or Recovering, but on a newer format. And this is an example of when a band, this is a band I think can be very experimental, and it usually almost always pays off. I love this album. I think it's great. Some of the songs on here just mean so much to me. Closing it with Up All Night and Holiday in Spain is an amazing, those 2 tracks to close an album, incredible. 2 more CDs and we're gonna end the first part of this collection video here, and I have their whole discography, so I got a couple more, but we got Saturday Nights and Sunday Mornings. This is a good album. Obviously I'm not as high on it as I am with the others, but they're this is when they decided to go back to the rock sound. They're more conventional, like, let's do what we did on Recovering the Satellites, and I don't think it works as well on this one. I think the songs don't have as much punch, as much meaning. They're kind of, some songs are loud to be loud. The lyrics and the vocals, still Adam Duritz, I think, incredible. That's a very consistent thing. It doesn't matter what they sound like, what the band sounds like, what the production sounds like. The lyrics are always flawless. It's poetry, right? For the most part. There's some great songs on here. Insignificant, Cowboys, Hanging Tree. My favorite on the record, Washington Square. Incredible song, right? I'll talk more about this album and how I feel about it when I do the video, the rankings video. But, there's some stuff on here that I think is flawless. There's some stuff on here that I think maybe doesn't need to be on here. But overall, really good album. And finally, to close out the video, I have their most recent full-length studio album, Somewhere Under Wonderland. I love this album. Like I've said about, 4 out of 6 of these. This band means a lot to me. Just an incredible album. There's a couple songs in here that don't do it for me, but for the most part, it's amazing. Palisades Park, what a way to open a record. Dislocation is great. I feel like what they did with the harder rock songs here is what they were trying to do on this one, where they discovered, okay, this is how, they have a lot more substance to them. And maybe it's the production, because on Saturday Nights it sounds very rough and kind of just loud. On this, it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. It's great. I think it's a really good, a lot of emotion. Some of these songs are fan-fucking-tastic, God of Ocean Tides, John Appleseed's Lament, Love, Possibility Days, like I said, or Scarecrow too, but like I said about Palisades Park, it's just, I think, a great way to open this record. And I will talk a lot more about this album in the ranking video that I plan on doing shortly. But I had some more here. I think I'm going to end the video. We're over half an hour. So thank you so much, guys. I guess it's going to be a 3 or 4 part video. I like to ramble. My apologies for that. And thank you so much for watching. If you've watched the whole video, I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Rock on.